Hello, gorgeous. Today let's discover watercolors together. We're going to be painting a scene from Country Life Vlog, and I will link their channel in the description because it's awesome. Let's go. Well, I'm so happy to sit down today and share this artistic time with you. I hope that while you're watching this, you're getting artistic ideas of your own and just thinking of ways to be creative and joyful and happy as a human being, because I think that's really so important. That's why we share things. I am taking out my lovely watercolor paper. I really love working with this new medium. Watercolors, like painting with them consistently, are new for me. I have two sisters who are also very artistic, and one of them paints with watercolors, and I always thought, oh, watercolors are her thing. So I used oil paints early on, and I tried charcoal and pencil, and then I really started painting with acrylics about 10 years ago. I did lots and lots of acrylics. I have probably hundreds of acrylic paintings, so now I'm ready to try something new, and I'm just loving these watercolors. So first I'm going to sketch out the person, and he is one of the prominent people in the Country Life Vlog videos, and he is out in the mountains in Azerbaijan, and he's harvesting wildflowers for tea. And the people in these beautiful videos are really close to nature, and they know all the different kinds of plants and which ones are healthy and good for making tea, and they make so many delicious dishes from their farm and from the plants in the mountains surrounding their home. It's just lovely. And so he's out in the countryside harvesting some kind of plant. I don't know which kind. I wish I knew. I wish I could visit this farm. It's just so beautiful. Now I'm choosing a waterproof ink pen so I can go over the figure in black. And I chose to only use the ink on the figure so that he would stand out from the nature that's surrounding him. Watching these farming videos really inspires me to grow food for the family. I've not been very successful yet. We've grown some strawberries and a tiny watermelon, but my son and I are planting potatoes this year, so we're hoping maybe we'll get a real crop. So here are a couple videos of my son and I doing a very little gardening in our yard. 3 plus 4 is 7.
Not this one.
That's fine.
No, I don't want to use this one.
It'll work.
No.
3. It will.
No, I don't want to use it.
Okay, don't. 3 is
4.
7. Count them. So I'll show you the potato patch again in a couple minutes. So I learned on the channel Watercolor Carrie that you can put down the water first and then put the lightest color that you're going to have. And the water, it's really nice because if you put the water down first, you can outline where you want the light colors to be, because the water will determine where the colors travel to. I always wondered how to get that free looking watercolor look with also having some kind of control, and that's your answer right there. Is you put the water where you want the colors to be, and then you put the colors on, and they just flow and they create natural variations in the paint. I just love that so much because it's literally, you get into a flow state. The paint is flowing, and there I go, lose track of time again. just watching the paint. Look at that. See how it reacts to the water? So you really want to work with the characteristics of the medium. And some of it at first felt backwards because I'm so used to acrylics, so I start with the color in the back and then move forward. But with watercolors, you want to start with the lightest color first and then layer on the darker colors and the details after it dries. So I'm outlining the clouds, and even though clouds are of course in front of the sky, on the watercolor paper, I am letting the paper show through where the white clouds are and outlining the blue around them. I add a little purple. It's a little much, so I just dab and take it off and adjust as I go. But I think the purple is a nice touch with the blue.
No.
Now this box will last the length of the plant's life, and by the time it's all... Oh yes, and by the time it's all corroded, the potatoes will be ready.
So if my potato venture is successful, I'll show you that in another video. Alright, so here we go, outlining the... Oh, this is actually a mountain. This is the one spot I wasn't completely happy with because it kind of looks like another cloud, but it is a very light mountain. And like I mentioned, I am still learning, and it's okay to not be perfect because we are not perfect. None of us is perfect. We can aim for perfection, you know, and try to do better, but only God is the perfect artist. He can create out of nothing. So I learned in acrylic painting also that if you want something to look far away, make it lighter and then get darker as you go closer. Darker and more details. That will give the painting depth, because if you look out really far, you can see that the mountains are blues and very light color because, well, the light takes time to travel to your eyes, and it's just lighter. Actually, I'm not exactly sure why that is. I do know that the blue wavelength travels longer than the other wavelengths, like the red travels the least. The greens also travel less. The blue travels the farthest, so when you look out, you'll see blues and purples if you off in the distance, and then other colors as you get closer. Knowing that can also give your painting some depth. Now, as I add the green, watch as it just plays in the water. Again, I did that, adding the water first, and then dab, I add the darker green. And look, it's still moving and just soaking through that water, making unique shapes that I can't even plan. So it's like a surprise for me. Now here I'm adding a muted yellow. I want this hill in the front to have a very light back color. It has some very light plants and very light greens, and then I'm going to paint the other plants over this light yellowish color. So I'm doing this now because I want it to dry while I work on the background. So I kind of go over the canvas, not canvas, there I go again, the paper. I go over the paper, first this area and then that area, so that while I'm working on one spot, I can let the other spot dry, and then I can come back again once it's dry and then do the outline, and then I switch again back and forth, because watercolors need to dry in between layers. Otherwise it just becomes all like a big blob, and of course we don't really want that necessarily. So see that I'm putting the green and light, all the light colors, and outlining the composition before I put the darks. There'll be some little what is that word? When you have a group of trees, let me know in the comments if you know what that is. But I remember the countryside in Czech Republic had a lot of these little groups of trees in amongst the fields. There would be a big wide open space and then a little group of trees, and for some reason I always just wanted to run across those fields and go see those little groups of trees. So I'll be painting some of those. Now here I tried something different, and honestly I think it was because of my inexperience that I put some of the darker plants first, but really I should have probably continued with the lightest color and then put the darker leaves over it, but it actually worked out just fine because I was able to put the light color over these dark leaves. Look, see there on the other side, I did it the opposite way, so maybe it created a little bit of interest doing it one way on one side and the opposite on the other. But you see how easy it is to overlay watercolors? They're actually pretty easy as long as you make friends with them. So I'm putting the dark plants and the wild flowers of the mountains in front of that bright sunlit hillside, and that gives it the appearance like the hillside is bathed in sunlight. So now I'm starting to put in the trees, and it's really easy at this stage if you have a really good and dry underpainting to put the details on it and make it look pretty realistic. And I'm not worrying about every little shape. I'm getting the basic shapes of where the trees are, and that's all I have to do. It's pretty simple. You see that? And starting with small shapes, getting bigger towards the viewer, towards the front, and it looks like the photo. That's pretty simple. You can do it too if you've never tried. Watercolors are really fun. I'm not an expert, but I really love them. And so you can see how nice they go. They add layers over the bottom layer. It's very nice. And I did notice that they dry a lot lighter than when you put them on wet. So just keep that in mind. When it dries, it will be lighter. So that's why it's good to add the pen, I think, to the places you want a lot of contrast. The pen helps to create that contrast. Now you can see how it looks when I add the light color over the dark color. And you can contrast the left side with the right side and see if there's one you like better or if they look pretty similar. I think they turned out looking pretty comparable, which is good because then the whole piece flows together, and that's what I really want. Those who are faithful in little things will be faithful in big things. And this farmer here, when you see him working, he very carefully and mindfully does everything. The details in his life are done carefully and lovingly and thoughtfully. And he's a really great example. He and his lovely wife are both lovely examples of mindfulness, love, and care in daily life. Very humble and very in the moment. That's why I really love their videos. So he's wearing a simple plaid shirt, some light blue jeans, and what I believe is a straw hat. I really wanted him to look detailed and realistic since he's the focal point of the picture. So I put in the details first this time and then washed over the colors afterwards. I love how he is such an integral part of the picture. He's focused, but he is part of the scene. And I was thinking about this morning because we're often, especially if we live in the city, we often think of us and then nature as something separate. But really, human beings are part of nature. We don't make ourselves. We come into being, and we are natural biological beings. And I think it's neat to think about that and to think about how we are integral part of creation. It's a beautiful, relaxing way to think about it, and it's the truth. And so looking at a scene like this, we really get a sense of being that we are natural beings